Welcome to I&I Studio. You're probably getting tired of seeing me standing in front of this painting. I'm not quite done, and I'm not exactly satisfied. I like the painting. I just think it needs a little extra touch. What I'm going to try is I'm going to try to extend this flower here. I think it stops kind of abruptly where the gray is. I'm going to extend the flower with gold leaf. So the gold leaf will extend into the gray, expanding the flower a bit. And I think I'm going to do that by tracing around a stencil. Not tracing around the stencil exactly. I want to take the stencil. Now I don't want to line it up with the flower as it is. I want to offset it a bit, which I think is going to alter the shape of the flower. I just have to decide how far I want the flower to come down. And then I think what I'm going to do is I will paint the stencil color something that will barely show through the gold leaf. Or should I paint it red like we did on the silver leaf here? So you can see a little bit of the red peeking through the silver leaf. I could do that. So there's some things we have to evaluate if we're going to consider, do we want red coming out? And that would be, what would the relationship of the new red be to the existing reds? Is it necessary? I don't think it would hurt. I'd have to look to these reds as a color. I don't want to get really different in the color. It could be a little variation on that, but it has to be something that's going to work good with the red that I already have. I could paint the petals in beige so that they would blend in with the wood. This is the raw wood here. I could paint them black like the existing petals, which could look beautiful poking behind gold leaf. So which one of the three? The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the painting, I'm going to put it flat on the tabletop, and I'm going to work that way because it's a little more comfortable to work that way. I don't have to worry about drips or holding the stencil while I'm doing things. So we'll get the stencil up on the table, and I'll shift the angle of the camera, and we'll see what happens. This is taking a leap of faith. As you remember from the silver leaf video, I am no expert in gold leaf and silver leafing. It's all new to me. I was pleased with the results of the silver leaf. It's given me enough courage to believe I can go forward with the gold leaf, and I'm willing to give that a try. It's a little tedious. It takes time. I'm going to have to put the stencil down, let that paint dry. Then I'm going to have to paint the adhesive on those petals, trying to stay within the lines like the coloring book. That also is to dry for an hour, and then I have to put the gold leaf on top of that. Also knowing that I'm running short on gold leaf, and I have already ordered more. It'll be here tomorrow. So I wanted to get started today, see what happens. If the result is good, I have a lot of flowers on this painting that might use a little boost of gold leaf. It's a very decorative element. I think it also sort of plays into the sort of dressing screen aspect of my composition. Kind of looks like a big dressing screen maybe. So it gives it a little decorative look, which I don't have a problem with myself. We'll see what happens. I am back. I got the panel up on the table. I've decided on black for the petals. And here's the stencil. How would I like to line this up? Let's see. Looks pretty interesting. Let's get that up a bit. Let's get that up more. Yeah, it's still a little offset. So here goes nothing. Did I tell you I chose Golden's So Flat Black? Oh. Then I am not sure that I want to use the whole stencil. It may just be the bottom of the stencil that I want to use. Remember, these are the areas that I'm going to gold leaf. And what the black is doing is just showing me where I'm going to have to outline in adhesive for the gold leaf. Everything is an experiment, and I haven't done this many times, so it's going to be extra surprising to me what the result is, whether I'm going to like it or not. And I think that's all I'm going to do with this. Let's see. It actually looks pretty nice. It's a little bit offset, extending the flower a little, giving me a nice area for the gold leaf. We'll give it a try. We have to let this dry. Then I'm going to paint the adhesive on with a very small brush. Then we'll let that dry, and then we'll attempt the gold leaf. Okay, the paint isn't dry everywhere, but it's dry in enough places that I can start to put the gilding adhesive on. And to do that, I'm going to use brushes. And they're going to have to be a pretty fine brush. They're not expensive brushes. What I like about them is they have a nice tight point. This one has a nice compacted flat that I can turn on the side and get a very fine line. So I think I'll work between these two brushes. I taught a workshop this weekend, and although I'm often saying that I use cheap brushes, the truth of the matter is I choose my brushes for their functionality. And if they happen to be inexpensive, that's a bonus for me. I do not like chip brushes. They are ragged on the end and the bristles fall out. And of course, it all depends on what you're doing. There was a time that I was doing very large expressive paintings that I did not mind bristles falling out and ragged edges. What didn't impact my work. But when I'm doing fine details like this, of course I'm going to need to consider what it is I need in the brush. So carefully choose your tools, okay? Anywhere I paint the adhesive is where the gold leaf will stick. I'm not 100% sure how much gold leaf I'm going to have to spread out. I may have to wait until tomorrow to finish when my new gold leaf arrives. These are going to be some fairly fine gold leaf lines. And in some ways, I notice I'm able to paint the adhesive on even with sharper edges than the stencil had, which tended to bleed a little bit. See, I've got some black paint on my brush, and I'm not crazy about that. Get a paper towel. I guess the paint is a little wetter than I expected. Oh, that was a little sloppy. It's okay though. Every time I use a stencil and then do other alterations to the stencil, it just kind of takes it out of the stencil realm a little bit, which I'm fine with. I don't intend for my stencils to be exact. And I'm improvising. You'll notice when you use the gold leaf or the silver leaf, you're actually wasting quite a bit, especially with the loose leaf, because you're kind of lying the whole leaf down, and you may only need a couple of lines here or there. So I've ordered for tomorrow an attached leaf, and I am hoping that it's the kind of gold leaf that's attached to the tissue paper, and you can just kind of blot the tissue paper down and the gold leaf will stick to the adhesive, and you can kind of dabble it down, 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 just, depositing gold leaf where you want without putting on a whole sheet at a time. That's funny, you just learn little things like this only by doing it a few dozen times and realizing, hey, I could use those attached leaves to my advantage if I'm doing really fine work like this. That if I laid a whole sheet down here, there's just a couple of lines that the sheet is going to stick to, and I'm going to brush the rest away. Some parts of the painting are tedious like this. I call it the two-hair brush phase. And you really sit down and plan on spending the afternoon. When I was younger, I just loved the very physical, expressionistic part of painting. I still do, but not for the entire duration of the painting. There's a time for action and a time for contemplation. I have a feeling by the time I finish the area I want to gold leaf, by the time I finish putting the adhesive down, probably the first part of the adhesive will be dry. My brush is getting a bit gloppy, so I'm going to take a couple of minutes to sort of clean and reshape it with a paper towel. Okay, that's coming along nicely. Okay, I think the gold leaf, the adhesive, has dried enough to attempt the gold leafing. Let's see how this works. I have a little left on this sheet. Let's try. Use every little bit of scrap gold leaf I have on these tiny little spots. So remember, I was talking about the kind of gold leaf that's actually attached to the paper. That's what I have. That's what I'm working with. So I'm gonna get it on, and then I'm gonna brush the excess, and it should only stick to where the glue is. But I want to take advantage of all these little tiny pieces I had left from another project. And this is actually going to give me a lot more gold leaf than I thought I had. So I may be able to get a lot more done. I didn't finish painting all of these leaves because I didn't want to run out of gold leaf. The hardest part of what I'm doing right now is just making sure that I cover all the adhesive. One more sheet should do it. Then I'll brush the excess away. Still winds up using way more than I thought it would. There. Okay. Now I have a soft brush and I'm going to brush the excess away. I actually like the way it looks now. This is real gold leaf. It's not the artificial. It's not real shiny. And when I varnish it, it will be even less shiny. While I'm waiting for the adhesive to dry for the second round of the gold leaf, I thought I'd spend my time working into some little pieces with a new stencil I got, which is a Parasol. And I think it's full of possibility. I'm excited. I put down one layer earlier. I got to looking at it and thinking, I think this piece needs a little bold color. So I'm going to take the same So Flat Black and make a parasol with So Flat Black over the top of the light bluish green that I did earlier. I just have to decide, do I want the entire image or the edge, or all of these decisions impact the way that the painting will look in the long run. So, and there's no way of really knowing. If it doesn't turn out, I'll work back into it. Oh, that's pretty interesting. Pretty nice indeed. And I'm going to look at it for a little while before I work into it further. My instinct is, oh, do more. But I'm going to look at it first. Maybe it doesn't need more. I've kind of got a light touch these days. I feel like doing things more deliberately rather than really fast and expressively. So I'll just flow with that for a while. Let's get back over to the adhesive. I put a bunch more adhesive down, and again, I think it's dried enough to gold leaf. So let's put some gold leaf down, and then we'll hang it up on the wall and stand back and see what we think. It's amazing how different a painting looks on the wall than it does on the table. And the only way to evaluate what you've done is to hang it up and step back and step closer and get some different perspectives. It's really important. Okay, let's go for it. These decisions about where to put the gold leaf are also going to impact the painting, and that's another reason I want to hang it on the wall. Could the gold leaf be a light source? Could it be the sun illuminating a particular section of the picture? And if that's the case, lighting has to be from a source, the sun, a light bulb, whatever it is. So you have to keep the highlights and the shadows consistent if you want to use the effect of a direct light source. I always call that the science of the art. You start thinking about, well, if this, then that, and it impacts our decision to put things in certain places. I know it can sound pretty basic, but when you're painting abstractly, many people ask me, what do I do next? What do I do next? Well, think about your light. Think about your foreground, middle ground, background. Am I out? That's it. I thought I had a lot more. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is just take my scraps, try to fill in the areas I missed. I'm sorry I didn't realize I was so close to being out. Of course, nothing's the end of the world. Tomorrow's a new day and a new batch of Goldleaf. Some of the dust that I'm brushing off is sticking to some of the areas that I had glued down. It's actually a beautiful effect. So mistakes always lead to unexpected outcomes. So here it is. Can you see that on the camera? I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out. It's pretty interesting, and I think what I'll do next is probably do the same gold leaf treatment on some of the other flowers on this large triptych and see what happens. I got encouraged by some friends last night. I got some courage. Encourage and courage. Sounds like a connection there. Anyway, I'm sure you're tired of seeing this painting. I'll be futzing with it for a little while, and the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to bring out a painting I started in the summer at the Santa Fe Arts Getaway workshop. Chuck and I are able to paint right alongside the students. We're there for 4 days, and I did 3 large paintings. We also took some time before and some time after the workshop to spend there and work on our paintings. They've been rolled up since September. Haven't given them a lot of thought. In other words, they haven't excited me too much. So I think there's some really good paint there, and I think potentially I could turn these into some pretty dynamic paintings. Right now they're good paintings. I want to make them great paintings, okay? So it always just takes practice. We never know what we're going to get, and sometimes it's better than others. But the only way that we become better is by practicing. Making mistakes, solving mistakes, practicing. Practice makes perfect. Please go to your studio. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for taking my journey with me again. Please check out my workshop website and subscribe to the channel and share with your friends. I could use it. Thank you. Bye. you.